here we are then with another casted game on Lipany. In the west side we have my old mate Hot Potato 25 as the blue as Ayyubids, and in the east side in teal we have Trabzok as the French. These colours aren't going to be confusing at all, so don't worry about it. I'm sure it's going to be absolutely fine. Now, while we're doing this, let's have a little look at their scouting patterns and we can talk a bit about the matchup. Lipany is going to be a really interesting map for these two civilizations because Ayyubids loves the berries, which means they can be super aggressive with the scouting, and they also get the bonus from Lipany because Lipany has tons and tons of berries. On the French side, and if we see what the French player is doing as we go, here we go. As we watch what they're doing, the French player has the benefit of Lipany being a very random map where the spawns can be a little bit crazy, there can be cliffs all over the place, so generally having that extra mobility from knights means you can do a lot more raiding and you can go a little bit more crazy. So here we can see Trabzok being quite reserved with his scouting to make sure he gets all the sheep around his base, because if he gets denied lots of food, those knights are going to be really difficult to get out. Whereas if we switch back over to Hot Potato, he's also been quite defensive, which is surprising because normally when you see the berry civs, they tend to be super aggressive. They'd go right over to the other side of the map, maybe try and go round the back of the other player's base, stuff like that. So maybe he just wants to get that food home just to be sure. I guess it also depends on his game plan. If he's expecting knights, having a little bit of extra safe food can really help. So if we look at the spawn of the map, then there's no massive crazy cliffs. There's one down here which blocks a small section we can wall off. There's a couple of tiny ones around here by some deer packs which might work in the favour of Trabzok because he can get loads of food here and just quickly protect it with a couple of small walls. But there's nothing too crazy. I saw a map the other day where half of it was covered by cliffs, which obviously is not going to be ideal. Now, Hot Potato is just about to age up, so if we go and have a look and see which wing he chooses, he goes for the military reinforcements, which I think is pretty standard as Ayyubid. And we've got 4 on gold, so maybe this is going to be the very standard fast castle with some camels to defend or to attack. But Trabzok is going for the school of cavalry, and although the camels debuff knights, the knights will be able to take them on. In most other matchups, a lot of players will go for horsemen because 2 horsemen can beat 1 camel head on as long as you don't retreat. If you retreat and then the camel can get a couple of hits in, then you generally don't do so well. So if we go back and have a little look at how their scouting's going, so Hot Potato's still going around. He still doesn't know what's going on in the base and around the back here, so he's going to be having a little look to see what's going on, but he's scouted a couple of relics, maybe he wants those, and he's seen that he's got these 2 safe berry packs in the back, so that's going to be really nice. A couple of little walls, and then that's going to be nice and safe from raids. Whereas if we go over to Trabzok, he's seen a lot more of the map, and he's also scouting the base. Is he going to get caught in the fire? Ooh, almost there. It's always nice when they run just over the edge and you can chuck a couple of vills in and snipe that. Even if you only get the 1 sheep, it's quite nice. I've seen a lot of people doing the taunt when they do that, and the sheep taunt, but I can never remember the numbers quickly enough to to do that particular one. But I quite like Trabzok's scouting pattern. I think he's doubled over himself a couple of times, which isn't really ideal, but he does have a bit of an idea of what's going on around the map. So there's only sort of this hidden section. I probably would have gone also up to the corners because sometimes the relics can hide up there, but, you know, each to their own. Horses for courses. And as we're going to be looking at the French knights, there's going to be a lot of horses. And we can see there's a mining camp going down on stone, so there's probably going to be a little bit of aggression, but with a 2 town centre play from the French, which I think is fairly standard in general, but whether that's going to work against the Ayyubid with their timing and with their camels, we'll have to wait and see. Because if we go and check what Hot Potato's doing, he has now only got 1 on gold and he's got a lot on wood, so it doesn't look like the fast castle's coming, and we're getting a stables drop down, so I think we might be seeing a little bit of aggression. Whether he's going to go for horsemen or more camels, we'll just have to wait and see. But the camels found his scout, and these desert raiders are really nice because you can switch between the melee and the ranged. So here, like Hot Potato's doing really well, you can get a couple of hits in and then you can change to melee and go in and attack. So you really want to have your scout with them though, because of these little stealth forests and stuff. But the scout's coming around the back, and grabbing even more sheep, which is fantastic. So hopefully he's going to see that thing. So if we have a look to see whether Hot Potato has scouted that, he hasn't seen the stone mine yet, which is here hidden, so he doesn't know the TC is coming up just yet. And as you can see from the resources up here, it looks like that TC is going to be going up relatively soon, and the knight's there to protect rather than raid. So the Desert Raider isn't really doing any damage, and he's going the wrong way because he's going for that gold when the stone's really what you want to delay to stop that town centre. Now we see the knight and the scout going across. Only one knight coming out, so that's really just to put a little bit of pressure on while they get that town centre up. I guess a bit like the English king 2TC play, where you use the king to do a little bit of harassment, keep them in their base, and then you can get the TC up. French also get the reduced cost for their upgrades, so he's got wheelbarrow already and he's getting horticulture, so that's going to work quite nicely. They're taking a lot of sheep at the moment, maybe just playing it a little bit more defensively, so that's going to boost their food income. Hot Potato's got the double broadaxe, and he's also got wheelbarrow coming through, so all of these guys chopping all this wood to get those units out is going to be really good. Another free camel coming out, so I really like this military wing. Back in the action, we've got the camel being chased by a couple of knights. That's really not going to go very well for him if he stops, so you better keep running. And I'm pretty sure the speed of the Desert Raider is 1.6, and a knight is 1.62, so they're basically the same. If you have a horseman are actually slightly faster, so if the camel runs away, you can actually slowly get hits on them while you go. That's why a lot of people will go for that. But now we've got the 2 camels and we've got some horsemen that could start doing some real damage there. Not so sure about dropping my sheep off so far away, especially when there's the enemy scout probably around the corner, but Trabzok's being quite defensive and keeping those knights alive because they are very expensive boys. We're floating a lot of wood here, so not sure whether we're going for 2TC or there's something going to happen with this wood. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this 800 wood's going to be spent on, if it's more production and stuff like that. Still only 3 on gold, so not sure exactly if that's just going to be for slow upgrades and stuff like that. There's no blacksmith just yet, but there's enough wood to build one. And an archery range just going down. So if we check this, we can see that the stone has been taken for the TC, so that's TC's being dropped. And Hot Potato, because he's around this front side, he won't have seen it dropped in this back side. Only 4 villagers building it, so it's going to be a little slow, but it's nice and defendable. A couple of small walls and it's fine. Doing a bit of a dive to get them off gold, so that maybe is working, but again, those knights are quite strong, and as soon as you get 4 or 5 of those, you really need to be careful. If I was Trabzok, I'd probably have sent one of these guys down to be harassing the base, because if you can get them off the berries or you can get them off the wood line, it just distracts them enough while you're getting that TC up. Because Trabzok also gets that slightly faster villager production from French, so that's now going to stack with the 2 TC. So if I was Hot Potato, I'd be wanting to do a lot of damage or be taking out that TC, because it doesn't look like he's getting his own stone to match. So if we go back over to the base, we've got a camel guarding this relic, just having a nice time looking at the glow. Maybe he's a little bit cold and needs some warmth from the fire. And then we've got the horses and camels up the top, just waiting to do some damage. That TC is just about to pop up, so that villager lead is now going to increase when we get some villagers queued in there. And unfortunately now we've got a barracks coming down, so that could get some spears and some archers down, so that's really going to put a stop to this, because it's not a huge force at the moment. If you look at the army value, actually the French is better because the knights are very expensive. So ideally, there we go, the camel's doing some shots, getting a villager kill in there and then running away. This is really, really nice, because the knights can't actually catch any of these if you keep moving, so that's really good. If we go back over to Hot Potato's base, there's a load more on gold now, so we're going for a castle play. We're literally very, very close, maybe 30 seconds away, so then we can see which wing he's going to go for. So we'll have to see. And we're out on the deer. We have survival techniques, which is really nice, so that's going to be boosting that food income. And then his units here are building a ram. Interesting. So that's what all that extra wood was for. I'm not really sure what damage this is doing, because really knowing that there's stone gone here, I'd be wanting to find that TC. And he's scouted here, but whether he's seen it is to be found out. And there's gold down here as well, so there's loads of food and gold, so it's going to be quite bad if that continues to just sit there building that lead and building that income, because I often find that when you knock them off the gold here, you maybe sometimes get that false sense of security that there's, you know, there's nothing happening and you're all good, they're not going to age up, and then suddenly there's a TC on gold somewhere else and they're getting loads of extra resources. I'm not sure about taking this fight as hot potato here. There's archers which obviously do a lot of damage against the camels, and there's just too many knights. Those camels fighting those knights head on is never going to work, even with the debuff of the 20% less damage. So the ram's taken out, which is a lot of resource in these camels, so he's going to have to be really careful how he uses them, maybe going and poking the wood line here from this side, or trying to find this TC to do a little bit of damage. But if we're aging up now, we've got the logistics wing, so we get the dervishes with improved healing, so that could work really nicely against the French royal bloodlines or chivalry, the upgrade where they heal when they're out of combat, and also it's going to allow him to get those relics. So if we see where he's got the waypoint, he is trying to get the relic right outside of his base. Very, very greedy boy. So potentially, because if I were hot potato, he doesn't really have the map control to go all the way over here to the base, but he could sneak around the side and grab this one, which is quite far away. He could go for these two, which are a little bit easier, and then this one, which is just outside the walls. Unfortunately, if this wall just went up there, that would have been secure, but you do generally want to go for the ones that are further away. The French player Trabzok isn't actually looking like he's getting close to Castle Age. He has a load on gold, but he should have a blacksmith somewhere, if I'm right. Nope, no blacksmith upgrades either, but hot potato does, which is going to help, but he doesn't have any counter units. I would have been expecting some spears, even just defensive spears to keep them off the wood line and stuff like that, because those camels, I don't know how well they're going to do against the knights unless it's slowly chipping away at them with the ranged attack like that. But we'll wait and see, because here we've got a load of spears and archers, and if they've scouted the age up, which probably they haven't, because it's walled in nicely, now they'll get the notification, so they're going to know that whether he's got the dervishes or not, he's going to be going for relics pretty shortly. Now in the Castle Age, we're going to expect some upgrades coming through. So we've got the veteran upgrades for the Desert Raiders, which is really nice because he's got 5 of those, and that's going to keep them chunking away and doing loads of damage. If we check over at Trabzol's base, he's getting the food and the gold over here, so his income's going up really, really nicely. He's got some berries over here, he's started adding a couple of farms, so he is living his best French life and building that eco lead. If we switch over to the income, you can see at the moment the food income for hot potato is really, really good because he's on the deer and he's out here gathering all those berries, so we just want to make sure that that villager lead doesn't get too crazy. A couple of villager kills there will be helping that. If we see, there we go, the dervish has got 1, and I'm pretty sure the dervishes can actually pick up 2, so he might be trying to do a cheeky double run by grabbing this one and then going home to grab it. And there's another dervish up here that's grabbed that one. So maybe I'm wrong, the dervish is running past it. Okay, he's maybe just going for a bit of a walk and trying to meet every single wolf between here and the other side of the map. So here, this is very interesting. If we have a look at the vision, so hot potato doesn't see all these knights in this stealth forest. That's a real problem. They're literally just past this vision. So if the scout, which I imagine should be around here somewhere, which it isn't, where's his scout? He doesn't have one. Oh no, not the scout. Okay, so now he can't see all the units that are massing up in this stealth forest, which if they catch him unawares, that's going to be a real problem. If we have a look at what he can see, he also can't see those units there, so they're basically standing next to each other and they have no idea. So hopefully this is going to be a really interesting fight. We've got the guild hall going up now, so getting those extra free resources, using those tickets to generate them. So now we're both in castle. Hot potato, as to be expected, is going to do a push, because once you see somebody age up, they use all of those resources to get to the next age, so they should have less resources than you if you've been constantly producing. here, this fight is going really nicely. Let's go in and see how we're getting on. It's one thing you noticed at the beginning of the fight, because he went to make this ram over in the top corner, he just moved over there, and so the knights were able to get a really nice hit in. Something that somebody has been telling me recently, which I forget in every single game I play, is that you want to move across the map even when you're doing something like building rams, because then if there's some units hidden between where your base and where you're going, then you actually will hit them and not take a terrible fight. Like when you accidentally walk your whole army into 30 English longbows. You know, that's obviously not really the ideal situation. So a couple of rams down here to kind of do some damage, and if we check over with Trabzok, his second TC over here is really pumping them out and getting all of these resources, and with a really nice wood line as well. And because it's not been scouted, there's been no need for walls, but like literally a couple of little ones here, a little one at the back, and that little pocket is just completely secure for a very long time. I think also Hot Potatoes may be thinking about getting this relic, because he's got 4 out of 5 now, so that's his gold income's going to be going up loads, which is going to massively help. He's got a lot of food here, so I'll be expecting some more production buildings going down pretty shortly to try and make use of that, and this gold is going down. There's a relic. Oh no! The poor little relic sitting by the full mosque. He just needs to move just over here to get it in, and then that income's going to go up even more. So we'll wait and see when that 1 turns to a 4. And here we go in for another fight. Let's zoom in, see what's happening. So we've got a lot of crossbows and archers here, which isn't too good for the camels. They don't take very good fights against those. And we also have crossbows here, which obviously are going to be going up against the knights. So not the worst composition, but really you do want something like your Ghulams or something that can do this. Also, if you had some raiding units here that could go and knock all these villagers off the wood line, that would be really, really good. But unfortunately, Hot Potatoes units have all been cleaned up there, because once the camels are gone, those knights just run around and basically get everything. And unfortunately, I think those rams are going to be going down pretty sharpish. So if we turn the map back to a normal angle, I think, oh, here we go. So we found the villagers over here. So now we've got a camel lancer, which is really strong for raiding. This is exactly what he needed in his eco. So we've got loads of villagers out here exposed. So if there's a couple of those desert raiders that can go and do some damage like this, that's going to make a massive difference, because unfortunately Trabzok isn't really seeing that happening, because he's focusing on these Ghulams in his base. That's 13 kills so far, and that number is just going up and up and up, because the TC is just pumping them out, feeding them to this camel lancer. So he is having a nice little lunch over there. These crossbows and arbatrier are really trying to take down these camels, which is fine. It's really, if these camels could come over here and idle the economy, again, this is another example where these camels have just been moved. If they'd been moved, they would have gone and smacked all of these villagers, and that would have been 8 villagers down again. We're up to 18, so, you know, you can't really complain at those sort of numbers, but, you know, and that's the end. With those villager kills going down, there's not much that he can do against that. So really nice use of camels. I think maybe an only camel challenge, but it worked out really well for Hot Potato in that one.